Good evening, students. Today we will start the revision of chapter number 5, that is our environment. Now, before starting the chapter, we should know that what is the meaning of the term our environment. Environment means the surroundings and conditions in which we live. Okay, so the surroundings, if we observe our surrounding, we can see that there are living as well as the non-living non-living substances that are present. So our environment, it consists of both living and non-living components. So that was the definition of environment. Now let's move on to the next topic, that what are the biodegradable wastes. Biodegradable wastes are the waste which can be degraded naturally by using the microbes. Okay, so the microbes like bacteria, fungi, what they do, they act upon the organic waste, the dead organic waste, and convert them into the simpler inorganic substances, and those inorganic substances, they are further used as compost and manure in the fields by the farmers. So here, if we take the example of the biodegradable waste, they are generally the organic waste. They include the livestock waste, the vegetable peels, okay, crop residue, leather articles, etc. Now here comes a question, that what are the harmful effects of biodegradable waste if it gets accumulated in the environment. So many of the harmful effects, they are associated with this. First one, wherever these biodegradable waste, they get accumulated, that area started producing the foul smell, the stinky smell. Okay, now the area where the site where these biodegradable waste, they are accumulated, they becomes the site for breeding places for the flies and mosquitoes. यानी हम सभी को पता है कि जहाँ पर भी गंदगी इकट्ठी होती है, वहाँ पर बहुत सारी फ्लाइज या मस्कीटोज़ ब्रीड करने लग जाती हैं, उनका नंबर क्या हो जाता है, इंक्रीज़ हो जाता है. ओके, and we all know that these flies and mosquitoes, they are acting as the vectors which carry the disease causing organisms. Okay, so if we talk about the use of the biodegradable waste, I have already discussed with you that it is used to make the manure, compost, and it is also being used in the waste treatment plants. Waste treatment plants, we can take example of the biogas plants, okay, as well as the sewage treatment plants. Okay, here the biogas is produced. The main component of the biogas is methane, and this methane is used as the fuel. Okay, now we come to the non-biodegradable waste. They are just opposite to the biodegradable waste. Non-biodegradable waste, these are the waste which cannot be degraded by the decomposers. Okay, and these waste, they are generally man-made wastes. Okay, like plastic, polythene, glass, pesticides, they are some of the examples of the non-biodegradable waste. Now some of the non-biodegradable wastes, they can be broken down by the heat, pressure और oxidation processes. Okay, तो हम इनको simpler form में break down कर सकते हैं, लेकिन वो जो सिंपलर फॉर्म होगी वो भी हार्मफुल होगी हमारे इन्वायरमेंट के लिए. ओके, सो नेक्स्ट कम्स दी harmful effects of non-biodegradable waste. Now non-biodegradable waste, it includes some of the heavy metals, toxins. Okay, so what happened, they slowly pass into the groundwater, and groundwater is the source of drinking water. Okay, so what happened, when these kind of toxic substances, they move into the groundwater, they make it unfit for drinking. Secondly, they enter to the plants through the soil and make the food toxic. Okay, soil के through, soil में हम pesticide spray करते हैं, तो pesticides क्या होंगे, they are one of the non-biodegradable waste. Okay, they cannot be degraded. So what happened, these pesticides, they enter to the plants, and the food, the fruits that we eat, the vegetables that we eat, that lead to the toxicity. Now it also causes the biomagnification. Biomagnification means the concentration of the toxic substances in the non-biodegradable waste. It increases when we move from one trophic level to the another trophic level. अभी आप biomagnification को आगे इसी चैप्टर में इन डिटेल पढ़ोगे. Now the pesticides that we spray in our fields, they also enter to the food chain. I have already discussed with you. Now the burning of the waste, it release the toxic fumes. जब भी हम प्लास्टिक को या पॉलीथीन को बर्न करते हैं तो क्या होता है, उसमें से कुछ हार्मफुल गैसेस रिलीज़ होती हैं, कुछ टॉक्सिक फ्यूम्स रिलीज़ होते हैं. ओके. नाउ स्टैकिंग देम इन दी ओपन मेक्स एरिया डर्टी एंड पोल्यूटेड. अगर हम उसको कहीं बाहर फेंक देते हैं, बाहर इकट्ठा कर कर रख देते हैं, तो वो एरिया भी हमारा क्या हो जाता है, डर्टी हो जाता है और वहाँ पर पोल्यूशन हो जाती है. क्लियर? सो दैट वाज द two kinds of waste that are generated generally, biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. Now the next topic is ecosystem and its component. Now this ecosystem, if we have to define the ecosystem, it is structural and functional unit of the biosphere where the living organisms, they interact and exchange their material with the physical components of the environment, or we can say the non-living components of the environment. Okay, so जो हमारे environment में main function करती है unit, जो उसकी main functional unit है, that is called as the ecosystem. Now the ecosystems, they are classified into various categories. Now based on the size, the ecosystems, they are divided into small and large ecosystem. The small sized ecosystem, they are small ecosystem, and the large sized ecosystems, they are large ecosystem. Now we all know that small ecosystem, they are aquarium, garden, okay, and large ecosystem, they include ocean, forest. Now comes to the second kind of classification of the ecosystem, that is natural and artificial ecosystem. Natural ecosystem includes a natural ecosystem means that these are the ecosystem which exist in nature by themselves. They are not caretaken by the human beings. Okay, so they have least interference of human, clear, in their maintenance. So example of the natural ecosystem, they are ocean, forest, and artificial ecosystems, they are also called as the man-made ecosystem. So these kind of ecosystems, they require the maintenance by the human beings. So the example of the man-made ecosystem is aquarium and crop field. Now again the ecosystems, they are divided onto the duration, that some of the ecosystem, they remain for the long duration and some of them, they remain for the very short duration. So permanent ecosystem, they remain for the long duration. So example of permanent ecosystem, they are forest, ocean, and some of the ecosystem, they are just meant for the small duration like ponds and crop fields. Okay, जब बारिश ख़त्म हो जाएगी तो pond सूख जाएगा, और क्रॉप में भी जब क्रॉप मैच्योर हो जाएगी तो हम उसको कट कर देंगे तो क्रॉप फील्ड भी क्या हो जाएगी, कुछ टाइम के लिए ही एक इकोसिस्टम की तरह बिहेव करेगी. नाउ कम्स द टेरेस्ट्रियल इकोसिस्टम एंड एक्वेटिक इकोसिस्टम. दे आर बेस्ड ऑन द टाइप्स ऑफ द हैबिटेट. सो टेरेस्ट्रियल इकोसिस्टम, they mainly complies of the ecosystem which are present on the earth surface, on the land surface, like forest, desert, okay, crop field. Now comes the aquatic ecosystem, the ecosystems which are present on the water surface like pond, ocean, rivers, they all included into the aquatic ecosystem. Now let's come on to the components of the ecosystem. The components of ecosystem, there are two components, they are abiotic and biotic. Abiotic components, they include the non-living substances and the physical factors, okay, and biotic components, it includes the living organisms that are present in the biotic community. So let's discuss firstly the abiotic components. Abiotic components, as I have already discussed with you, it includes the physical factors. So what are the physical factors? There are various kind of physical factors like the climatic factors. The word is giving us hint. Climatic factor means that are related with the climate. Okay, so light, temperature, humidity, these all are the climatic factors which interfere the growth of the biotic components. Okay, they interact with the biotic components या फिर biotic components की growth and development के अंदर इन सभी climatic factors का role होता है. So they both interact with each other. Now come to the edaphic factor. Edaphic word is related with the soil. So all the characters that are related with the soil, like the soil type, soil texture, soil waters, all comes in the edaphic factors. So edaphic factors also, they are helping in growth of the plants, and plants, they are one of the biotic factors. Okay, now come to the topographic factors. The topographic factors means the physical areas. Okay, like plain, mountain, rivers, they all are the topographic factor of the area. Clear? Now comes the non-living substances. The non-living substances, they include the inorganic and the organic nutrients. Okay, so all these kind of abiotic components, they interact with biotic components, or biotic components, they are dependent on the abiotic components for their growth. So now in detail we will discuss about the biotic components. Now the biotic components, they include three categories generally. They are producers, consumers and decomposers. Now producers, we all are familiar with this term producers. They are the autotrophs which manufacture their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Okay, in photosynthesis what the autotrophs do, they convert the inorganic raw material with the help of sun energy as well as the chlorophyll into the useful organic food. Okay, now what are the different kinds of autotrophs that are present in our nature? They are the green plants, blue-green algae, phytoplanktons and some of the bacteria, they can manufacture their own food. Now we all are familiar with the photosynthesis. That what is photosynthesis? In chapter number 1 we have discussed about the steps that are involved in photosynthesis. So the main step is conversion of solar energy into the usable chemical energy, and as the plants or the producers, they are able to convert the one form of energy into the another form. That's why they are called as transducers and converters. Transducers means which can transduce the energy, which can convert the energy from one form to another form. And the second main step of the photosynthesis is the formation of the organic food. The food is prepared by the photosynthesis. Okay, so that food, it is used by autotrophs as well as all the heterotrophs. They are dependent on this food directly or indirectly. So let's discuss the functions of the producers. Producers, they convert the solar energy into the usable form, that is the chemical energy, or we can say food. Okay, manufacture of food for all other living organisms are done by the प्रोड्यूसर. जो भी फूड बनता है, मैंने अभी भी बताया, जितने भी अदर लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं, दे ऑल आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन दिस फूड डायरेक्टली और indirectly. Now what do the plants do? That picks up carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is one of the global or one of the greenhouse gas which is increasing the temperature of the earth. So what do the plants they do? They absorb the carbon dioxide and gives out oxygen. So plants or the producers, they are the only source of oxygen on the earth. Clear? Now we come to the second category, that is the consumers. Now consumers, they are the heterotrophic organisms. Heterotrophic organism means they cannot prepare their own food. They are dependent on the autotrophs or other living organisms to derive their food. Now the consumers, they are divided into four categories: herbivores, carnivores, omnivores and parasites. Now herbivores, these are the animals which feed on the plants directly. They are also termed as the primary consumer, like cow, buffalo, etc. Okay. Then comes the carnivores. Carnivores, they are categorized into primary carnivores, secondary carnivores and top carnivores. The carnivores which feed on herbivores, they are the primary carnivores. The carnivores which feed on primary carnivores, they are the secondary carnivores. And the carnivores which are not eaten up by any other animal, they are called as the top carnivores. Here, if we take a food chain, that plants, they are eaten up by frog, frog is eaten up by snake, and snake is further eaten up by eagle. So in this food chain, producers, they are the प्लांट्स. अगर हम बात करते हैं कंज्यूमर्स की, तो फ्रॉग से कंज्यूमर स्टार्ट होंगे. तो फ्रॉग इज़ प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर, ओके, स्नेक इज़ सेकेंडरी कार्निवोर्स, एंड what about the eagle? Eagle is the top carnivore. Clear? Now next comes the omnivores. Omnivores are the animals which can feed both on plants and the animals, okay, and carnivores, they will feed on the animals only. Clear? The flesh of the animals. Now the last category of the consumers, they are parasites. Parasites, they are the living organisms which feed on the another living organism without killing it. They derive their nutrition from that host. Okay, we have taken the example, we have discussed the parasites in chapter number 1 also. Different plant parasites, they are cuscuta, okay. Animal parasites, they are liver fluke, ascaris, okay. Now come to the functions of the consumer. Now these consumers, they are used as the biological control agent. बायोलॉजिकल कंट्रोल एजेंट मतलब ये एक तरह के लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं जो दूसरे लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स के ऊपर अटैक करते हैं, उनको पॉपुलेशन को इंक्रीज़ नहीं होने देते. ओके, जो भी हार्मफुल स्पीशीज़ हैं उनको ये किल कर देते हैं. ओके, तो डेलिब्रेटली जानबूझकर फार्मर्स क्या करते हैं, इनको अपनी फील्ड में रखते हैं. ओके, कॉमन सा एग्जांपल है गैम्बूसिया फ़िश का. गैम्बूसिया फ़िश क्या करती है, वो मस्कीटो लार्वा के ऊपर फीड करती है. तो जहाँ पर भी वाटर एक्यूमुलेटेड होता है, स्टेगनेंट वाटर होता है, वहाँ पर हम डेलिब्रेटली गैम्बूसिया फ़िश को डाल देते हैं. वो क्या करती है, वो बायोलॉजिकल कंट्रोलिंग में हेल्प करती है, यानी वो हार्मफुल मस्कीटो लार्वा के ऊपर फीड कर देती है और उनको क्या कर देती है, किल कर देती है. Okay, now many of the consumers, they help the producer in their pollination and seed dispersal process also. Now next come to the decomposers. Decomposers, they are the third category of the living factors. Decomposers, we have already discussed, they include the microbes like bacteria and fungus which feed on the dead organic matter, and they secrete the enzymes which convert the complex organic substance into the simple inorganic nutrients. So if we have to discuss the functions of decomposers, they clean the environment by feeding on the organism, and they help in recycling of the inorganic nutrients. Okay, तो ये बायोजियोकेमिकल साइकिल्स का पार्ट है डीकम्पोजर्स. ये वहाँ पर उन बायोजियोकेमिकल साइकिल्स को कंप्लीट करने में भी हेल्प करता है.